MX2 into Xanadu Arroyo Molinos. It's round 9 of the FIM Motocross World Championship. This is the MXGP of Spain. My name's Paul Malin. Thanks for joining us once again for our live broadcast. The second half of the program is about to get underway with MX2 Race 2. And the first time we came to Spain back in 1962, the first winner that day, Arthur Lampkin, on a 250cc BSA. But we've had a multitude of nationalities and manufacturers over the years. Belgium have 30 victories, France have 17. We've even got some American winners in there as well, 6 in total that include Jim Pomeroy, Mike Guerra, Donny Schmidt with 2, Bob Moore and Talon Voland, the last of which was back in 1997, about an hour south of here in Talavera de la Reina. Well, you can see the temperatures hovering around the 30-degree mark. We've got a little bit of cloud cover coming in now. The wind has picked up as well, so overall temperatures seem a little bit cooler than they were for MX2 Race 1 earlier. Here's a look at the track. If you're joining us for the first time, it's 1,660 meters long. It's got a hard base. It's clay. When it's ripped, it's heavy. When it's watered, it's very, very sticky and heavy. We had a lot of water, as you'll see from our MX2 Race 1 highlights. Water was put down on the track not long before the start of the race, and it did cause 1 or 2 problems, but it did dry out perfectly for the start of MXGP Race 1 shortly afterwards. But that's a quick look at the track. That's the overview. We've got the into Xanadu Arroyo Molinos shopping precinct over here on the left. We've got the town across the street over there, the other side of the highway. The riders are on the sighting lap now, just getting ready to take their positions behind the start line in the waiting zone. But before we go anywhere, let's take a look at what happened earlier in MX2 Race 1. MX2 Race 1, Tom Vial over on the far right-hand side into a 180 left. Thought he'd grabbed the foxhole shot, but it was Jago Geerts who looked like he snatched it. But from out of nowhere, number 44, a wild card this weekend, Rick Elzinga with his first black plate of the season. Geerts was there in second. Mike Guerra with the green helmet down on the inside was third. Vial was fourth. Langenfelder, the red rider, in fifth. And then the Kawasaki of 24, Horgmo in sixth place. But look at the water that was on the track. A fantastic atmosphere in this stadium-like racetrack, though. Geerts quickly to the front. Guerra tried to get up the inside of Elzinga as Vial went around the outside, moved into third on the number 28 KTM. He then took Elzinga quite forcefully for second towards the end of the lap, and then Jago Geerts fell, top left of your screen. Front end lost out on a hard slick takeoff. He picked himself up in 21st place. He would fight hard to get back to 9th. He led the championship going in by 6 points as well by Tom Vial. We'll do the maths in a moment. Kevin Horgmo started to get the better as well. He eased past Elzinga to move into second, and then Elzinga just started to fade towards 13th place by the end of the race. Rubini went through, so too did the 5:16 of Langenfelder with this move that put him ahead of the Dutchman. Then top of your screen, second place, Kevin Horgmo fell on the number 24 F&H Kawasaki. He remounted in 5th place. He would retake Elzinga almost immediately to pick off 4th. That's where he would stay. And then the change from 3rd to 2nd as Langenfelder went around the outside of Rubini. A late surge from Thibaut Beneston, who started the race in 19th. He passed the 44 to get to an eventual 5th place finish. Liam Evans also had a poor start, 23rd on the opening lap. He eventually made his way into 6th place. Mikkel Harup, though, fell 2 laps to go on the final lap from 8th to 10th, and that allowed Andrea Bonacorsi and Jago Geerts to advance. Geerts finishing 9th, but it was a win for the 7th time this year for Tom Vial. Lisa Leyland was down on the grid a few moments ago. She caught up with Jago Geerts, but before that, Simon Langenfelder.
So we are almost ready for the penultimate race of the day, MX2 Race 2. Now let's speak to Simon Langenfelder from Red Bull Gas team. Simon, is it fair to say that since Matterley and your podium visit, we haven't seen too many explosive performances from you, apart from that last race? That last race, you looked so cool, so calm, really comfortable out there on track. How are you feeling?
Yes, I had some worse races, I would say, but not all of them were bad. I'm still 3rd in the championship, and that you cannot do with bad races. So yeah, the first race here was quite good. I got a good jump from the gate, and yeah, then I made some bad line choices in the first few laps, so I was 7th, but made my way back up to 2nd and finished there also, so I'm happy.
But I mean, it looks like it's the strongest we've seen you in a while, Seaman. I mean, and these conditions, are these the sort of conditions that you like, that suit your style?
Yes, I really like this track here. With deep ruts, many options. So yeah, should be hopefully a good second race.
Have a great one. Thank you, Simon. Now, I really want to speak to Monster Energy Yamaha MX2 rider Jago Hirtz. Jago, we saw you go down in that first race. Firstly, the most important thing is, are you okay? Are you feeling okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Just like a bit stiff everywhere, but I'm okay for the second heat. And yeah, it was a really big crash. It was just really slippery on the takeoff of the jump, so not a really good situation. But I'm trying to make it through the second heat, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay, well, it's good to hear that you're feeling okay. Just secondly, how much energy did you use up in that first race, just trying to make inroads?
Yeah, I'm still feeling pretty good after the first heat, like energy-wise. So we'll be okay for the second heat.
Best of luck. Thanks, Jago. Okay, good luck to all the guys. It's time for MX2 Race 2.
The fans back in their places ahead of MX2 Race 2 and a little later on MXGP Race 2. Some of them still trying to filter in. Here's where we've been so far. Look, we're almost halfway through the calendar. We're in Spain, 29th of May. We go to France next week at Ernay. And then we are in the Liqui Moly MXGP of Germany, Teussenthal, a week later. So 3 in a row before we have a week off. We head to Indonesia, we get a week off, and then we've got Loket and Belgium as well. But it's going to be a busy old period now, the second half of the season. Here's how the riders line up ahead of MX2 Race 2. The same as they did for MX2 Race 1. Tom Vial on pole position. And Jago Hirtz goes to line second. So Vial on pole for the second time this year. A career 5th pole for the Red Bull KTM rider. Langenfelder 3rd. Borgmo, Beneston, Harrop, Everts, Adamo, Isaac Gifting and Mike Guerda. And you see Brumman, Hansa, Rubini, Martinez, Braceras, Kai Karsmakers, Andrea Bonacorsi, Jorgen Matthias Talviku, Peter Pollock, Jakob Terrazak, Graham Forez, Tom Guillon, Eric Thomas and Rick Elzinger. Tom Vial started the weekend 6 points behind Jago Hirtz. He heads into race 2 with a 7-point advantage over the Belgian. Langenfelder, a good, steady ride. He only made 1 pass, but he was solid, he was consistent, and at times quicker than the lead rider ahead of him, Tom Vial. Came home in 2nd place. And Jago Hirtz started the day as the championship leader. He's now 7 points behind the Frenchman, Tom Vial. No wonder the Belgian is focused on the start of race 2. Stefan Rubini, 3rd in race 1. A fantastic ride for the ship-to-cycle Honda SR Motor Blues rider from France. Can he do it again in race 2? Liam Everts had a fantastic ride. He was 23rd over the line in the first lap. He quickly carved his way up to 8th by lap 5. He eventually came home in 6th position, did the son of the former 10-time world champion. Andrea Adamo, SM Action Racing Team, USA Battery Gas came home in 7th place behind Liam Everts. Another rider who'll be looking for a good start. It's 95 metres down to turn 1. Looks like almost everybody is in position ahead of MX2 Race 2. 30 minutes plus 2 laps. Kevin Hortmo, a simple fall from 2nd place to 5th before remounting and getting back to 4th. He's still got a possibility of a podium. And Mikkel Harrop will be kicking himself for dropping 2-3 positions on the final lap. He eventually came home in 10th. What can the big Van World MTX Kawasaki rider do in race 2? He's Fly Racing, 15-second board is up. You can see from our FIM race director's flag how much the wind has picked up here ahead of race 2. Will it have an impact on the jumps, I wonder? 5-second board has turned, the heads are down. Who will it be that grabs that all-important foxhole shot here in race 2? Again, Hirtz gets the better of Vial as they go into the first turn, but it's Jorgen Matthias Talviku who high sides. We've got a man down without a bike midway through the turn, but it's Everts who grabs the advantage. Was that the foxhole shot for the Belgian as well? It quite possibly could have been. Hirtz in 2nd, leaves the door open. Vial not able to go through though. Talviku there in third place. We've got a couple of riders down towards the back end of the pack. But Everts with the foxhole shot in race 2, his first in his career in the MX2 class. Geerts second, Vial third, Talviku in fourth place. There's Geerts challenging. We've got a Belgian one too, not had that for a while in MX2. So Vial there in third, Talviku four, Langenfelder in red, and then Horgmo to the outside in sixth place. Then we've got a good start for the Spaniard on the Rats Motorsport KTM of Guillaume Perez. So he'll be pleased with that after his crash in qualifying yesterday. Might be in Benetton and Gifting at the back. Gifting probably through the start, actually, through that first turn. Making our way towards the end of this first lap. You can see completely different conditions. So Geerts leads. Everts second. Vial third. Everts not need to leave the door open there, and I thought Vial almost touched the rear wheel as he crossed lines with the Belgian. There's Langenfelder, Talviku and Harup in there in sixth. Same part of the racetrack where Jago Geerts fell in race 1. Offered the jump here. He ended up somewhere down in between the two jumps in a heap of mess. Keeps it clean this time around though. Should things stay like this, of course, he will reduce the gap by 5, which means it will be 2 heading into France in a week's time. But of course, this being the first lap, we've still got just under 28 minutes plus 2 to run here. MX2 race 2. Vial just biding his time behind Everts. You've got Langenfelder in there as well, the 5:16 on the Red Bull Gas. Jürgen Matthias Talviku, though, wildcarding this weekend, leaves the door open. And Harup does make the move. It wasn't pretty, but he got the job done to move from 6th to 5th. A little bit quiet up in the stands at the moment as Tom Vial gets a better run on Liam Everts over the triple jump there, bar to bar, as they hit a very rutted jump. Everts holding his own as they drop into that 180 right-hand turn. Very rutted. Look how the bike disappears through there, but Vial gets better drive on the exit. Can he force a pass here in this next left-hander? He can, but it's slow on the way out. Up on the pegs, Liam Everts. Very Stefan-esque. Two laps complete. Fastest lap of the race, a 2:01.9 for your race leader. 2:02 and 2:03 for Everts and Vial, respectively. 2:01, though, for Harup, who's up in the 5th place after that pass on Talviku earlier. Perez in 7th, Martinez 8. He's just passed Guillaume. Adamo up to 10 with a pass on Bonacorsi. Carsmakers up to 12 after he's found his way past Mike Werder. And Rubini and Panzer both finding their way past Kevin Brumman. Brumman now in 16th place on the IXS Hostetler Yamaha. You know what? Mikkel Harup means business this time around. I reckon that crash on the final lap of race 1 may have just fired him up. And the Big Van World MTX Kawasaki is right on the rear wheel of Simon Langenfelder on the Red Bull Gas here. And he looks serious as well. He's getting ready to line up a pass on the German. Meanwhile, Vial looking to do the same on Everts in 2nd place. Through the long sweeper, the lead 2 riders in shot, 2nd and 3rd. Vial's going to pop the double here. He does. And he moves into 2nd place. An easy pass for the Frenchman. The gap between Geerts and Vial at the start of the lap was 2.2, but it's Geerts, Vial and Everts now 3rd. Everts under attack from Langenfelder as he now tries to hang on a 3rd place. Remember, a career best finish 4th in race 1 in Majora earlier on this season for Liam Everts. He was 5th. 6th in race 1 today. still got a possibility of a podium here, but I think he may have just lost a couple of points and a position in that overall classification this time around, though, because Vial would win the Grand Prix with a win in a second. He knows that. Langenfelder would be second overall with a second and a fourth if things stay as they are. Jago Geerts would be third. Good recovery from the Belgian with a ninth and a win on 37 points, 2 clear of Liam Everts. Downhill through the waves. The gap coming down between the first two. 1.6 it was at the split. And Vial with the fastest lap of the race, a 58.7 compared to a 59.8. So taking chunks out of Geerts' lead. He said he was okay at the start of the race when we spoke to him, but how battered and bruised is the Belgian? How much is he holding back? Guillaume Perez, what a fantastic ride for the Spaniard on the RAS Motorsports KTM. Filling in for Jeremy Sido. Unlucky to crash out of second place on the opening lap in the qualifying race on Saturday, but bouncing back here with a good start in race 2. He's in 6th position at the moment. And Martinez, 2 Spaniards in 6th and 7th now, because he's found his way past Talvico, and so too has Adamo. Around the outside, Talvico hemorrhaging positions all of a sudden. So Adamo now up into 8th place. And immediately going after Jago Martinez. Martinez runs it wide. Didn't see what happened next as Langenfelder closes in on Everts. Four laps complete, a fastest lap of the race for Jago Geerts, 157.54. Vial, 157.57, so nothing in it between them apart from the 1.6 second deficit. That's those heading past pit lane in the opposite direction. Everts in that tight left now, under attack from Simon Langenfelder. This is a battle for third place. The Diga Procross KTM versus the Red Bull Factory Gas. Just behind them in 5th, Mikkel Harup hasn't been able to execute the pass on Langenfelder just yet. Back end kicked out wickedly on the rear end of that Gas then. Could have grabbed a handful of whiskey on the takeoff, but he didn't. He managed to keep it all on 2 wheels, did Langenfelder. I wonder of how much of that he felt as well. Normally a rider, they get the odd kick around here and there, but at the bottom of a downhill wave section into the takeoff of a jump, I wonder if he was aware of how close to going down he was, maybe. Watch this here, right at the end of the waves, back end comes out here, look. Wow. He's now got down the inside of Everts. Still can't find a way through. Everts hanging on to that 3rd place for all his might at the moment. That's a 30-meter triple, but the run-up for the MX2 riders just too gnarly to even get the right kind of speed. Again, Everts closes the door on Langenfelder. This playing into the hands of number 11, Mikkel Harup, on the Kawasaki, just closing in there, the 3rd rider in shot. He is in 5th place. Cooler temperatures than we had in race 1, favouring the riders this time out. Still warm out on track though. 5 laps complete. And while we look at this battle for 3rd, involving Everts, Langenfelder and Harup, Geerts and Vial now separated by 1.2 seconds. Vial setting his fastest lap of the race. So 20 minutes plus 2 remain in this MX2 race 2. The MXGP of Spain here into Xanadu, Arroyo Molinos, about 30 minutes south of the capital, Madrid. So we're in the Madrid kind of vicinity, if you like. The 3rd successive year that we came here. 2020, the victory belonged to Tom Vial. Last year it was Maxime Renault, who is in MXGP this weekend. Mikkel Harup here in 5th place. Just made a slight mistake a moment ago. Watch this. Just got it wrong at the end of the finish line area. Cost him a little bit, but not too much. Great ride this, though, from Liam Everts. Just soaking up all the pressure. Oh, and a mistake there. This time Langenfelder, no. Still denied a way through into third. Langenfelder, a Grand Prix winner at the first round this year, Matchley Basin. The only visit to the podium for him is looking at making it his second box visit at round 9. Meanwhile, the gap down to nothing between Geerts on the Yamaha, who's short on the double, and Vial, who makes the landing but then goes the long way round. But does he get better speed into the final turn? Quite possibly. The gap was just over a second at the final split. What's it going to be when they hit the line this time around? Less than a second, surely. It is 0.6. Oh, and the back end just kicking out as he came into land there. Jago Geerts just caught the downside. Doing a good job of holding on to the lead, though, is the number 93 after that big crash in race 1. And it was through these waves on the opening lap where Geerts fell. On lap 2, and he's down! He just touched the front coming through the turn. And hands another 3 points to Tom Vial. And he's going to lose 2 more here if he can't keep Everts at bay. A nightmare then for Jago Geerts. A soft berm just giving way. Left his front wheel, nowhere to go. And look at the battle he's got now behind him. 3 riders that he could have done without. That'll spike the heart rate. Langenfelder all of a sudden fancies his chances here. He may go the long way round as Everts doubles his way in. But Langenfelder sensing urgency now. And he does get alongside Everts, but he will have the commanding line again in this next turn. Langenfelder muscles his way through, though, but for how much longer? He finally gets the pass done, moves from 4th to 3rd. And he's going after Jago Geerts. .8 seconds Vial has over Jago Geerts after that crash. Again, choosing not to double. All these guys, apart from Harp in the background, opting to do the same. Thibaut Beneston has had a tough race so far. He's now up to 12th place. But the gap, 8.5 seconds between your new leader, Tom Vial, Red Bull KTM Factory Racing, and Jago Geerts, Monster Energy Yamaha Factory MX2. When we were here last year in Spain, Tom Vial went 1-3, but it wasn't enough to beat the 1-2 or the 2-1 of Maxime Renault. But it was 2 French riders on the podium. It's the turn where he went down a lap ago. The berm just gave way, or just got the wrong side of the rut. So Jago Geerts really going to have to dig deep, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's gone the fastest in sector 1 of the whole race, only by 1/10 of a second, though, as he starts to pull clear from Langenfelder. Vial won here with a 1st and a 2nd in 2020 on our first visit. Quite possibly going to do the same again with a 2-1 here today. Or with a 1-1, sorry. Up on the pegs. So going, and actually, you know what? Just looking at the point situation, before Trentino, earlier this year, when Jago Geerts had a big advantage over Tom Vial, he threw that advantage away, giving the Frenchman 16 points clear heading into, where was it, Latvia, and then he's gradually pulled it back, found himself 6 points clear coming into this weekend, but he's now going to find himself 10 points adrift of the Frenchman once again. Not easy to make up points when they are the two fastest riders on track, clearly. So still a long way to go, though, in this second MX2 race. Eight laps complete. And again, almost identical lap times, Geerts and Vial, but Geerts with the fastest lap of the race. The gap still hovering at 8.5 seconds. Langenfelder trying to disappear in third. He's about a second and a half clear of Everts. There's Harrop knocking on the rear wheel of Everts now, the number 72. So the Diga Procross KTM rider looking at fourth overall at the moment, just a point adrift of his fellow countryman, Jargo Geerts. Oh, felt that one from my seat. Back end just twitched from left to right as he caught a hole, Mikkel Harrop. Adamo, he's in sixth place. He's just found his way past Perez, a lap ago. Rubini 8, Panzer 9, Beniston 10 now. Made another couple of positions. Bit too much time lost there for Mikkel Harrop. Not sure if he got cross-rutted the other side of those boards. Couldn't quite see behind them for some reason. And Everts looking like he's closing back up on Langenfelder. Geerts, fastest sectors 1 and 2. Vial responds in sector 3 quite considerably as well, because the gaps were 29.5, about the same in sectors 1 and 2, but Geerts was quicker. 28.7, 28.4, fastest sector again for Geerts. 25.6, 26.7. All of a sudden a gap more than 9 seconds as we head into lap 10. So a mountain to climb then for Jargo Geerts. Who hits the line now. 9 laps complete, but Vial has just set the fastest lap of the race. Twelve and a half minutes plus 2 laps remain. MX2 race 2 here in Spain, the MXGP of Spain. Tom Vial has just crossed the line at the end of lap 9 to set the fastest lap of the race, a 156.47. Jargo Geerts, a 157.09. The gap now 9.1 seconds between first and second in the race and in the championship. Langenfelder here in third place for Red Bull Gas Factory Racing is 5 seconds behind the Yamaha man. And Liam Everts keeping the German honest, the number 72, just right behind the 516 here in fourth place. About a second and a half adrift. Harrop lost quite a bit of ground, but he's still miraculously only 1.5 seconds behind Everts, because the long left just behind those aero banners in the background a lap ago. Harrop just seemed to take an eternity to get through there. Wasn't sure if he was cross-rutted or not, but he's managed to pull that time somehow. See how the track is drying. I can't imagine they're putting any more water down between the end of this MX2 race 2 and MXGP race 2. So those hard clay ruts are only going to get harder. Makes things more physically demanding for the riders. The bumps get harder as well. And with the heat as well, I'm not sure if some riders are suffering with blisters or not, because it's probably the hottest GP of the year so far, even hotter than Sardinia a round ago. Harrop being a menace at the moment, the number 11. Onto the rear wheel of Everts and then losing ground, and then gets back on the rear wheel and then loses ground. So can he get there and make the pass stick anytime soon? He's got 11 minutes in which to do it. Some riders making their fastest laps last time around. Adamo, Rubini, Panther, Beniston, Guyon and Horgmo. Horgmo in 12th place. Looked so promising for the Norwegian in race 1 when he was up in second for about 6 laps, falling on lap 8 to 5th and then salvaging 4th a lap later, which is where he ended up finishing. Quick look across the board for Harrop, thinking, tell me something I don't already know. Words like push, you can, get him, all classic signs you see on boards. To the riders, Everts catching that same hole that caught Harrop out a couple of laps ago. Both riders staying up on 2 wheels. things just settling down, becoming a little bit more processional at the moment. I think Martinez has dropped to 18th now because quite a few riders have passed him. 6 or 7 riders. Stepping up again over on that right-hand side, Liam Everts. Rubini, though, who has moved into 7th place, has pushed Everts down a position in the overall classification. So Rubini will be 4th overall, tied with Geerts. So if Rubini can find his way past Adamo, highly unlikely at the moment, there's about 8 seconds between them, then Rubini will be on the podium for the 2nd time this year. Guillaume Perez, 3:09. In a bit of a battle here, isn't he? In fact, he's at a back marker now because he was up at the sharp end, but he's gone down. And Rubini is coming through to lap him in 7th position. And he's got Jan Panzer and Thibaut Beneston behind him as well. So Guillaume Perez, the Ras Motorsport debutant this weekend, will not be picking up any points today. Looks like he's trying to unlap himself here, but obviously caught in his own little race at the moment. Takes a quick look across. He would have seen that the leaders have gone through on him, but he is holding up Rubini here at the moment. Unless there's a problem with the time, well, there probably is. I don't know, then maybe there isn't with his transponder, but he looks like he's, yeah. And Rubini looks like he's got a problem because Jan Panzer has gone past the number 38 there. And Thibaut Beneston right there getting ready to pounce on his fellow countryman as well. But it looks like Perez, 3:09, is riding his own race here. So I wonder, I mean, normally if there's a transponder issue, it comes up on our monitor to say there's a transponder issue. Maybe it needs charging or something like that, but he's definitely doing his best to hold his own and not get out of the way of this battle. And if he is a lap down, then he's being a menace. Panzer, outside-inside combination, moves up into 7th place. Rubini looking for a way through as well. Yeah, Perez looks like he's still in the race, you know, despite what it says on our timing. In fact, he's decided to let them go now, look. So yeah, maybe he is a lap down all of a sudden. Confused slightly. So Thibaut Beneston latching on to the number 38 of Stefan Rubini. The ship to cycle. Honda SR Motor Blues rider almost comes to a stop in the rut. I thought Beneston was going to go by on the Monster Energy Yamaha. Number 198 to the inside in the fluorescent colours. 2 hard races for Thibaut Beneston, actually. The first race was 19th on the opening lap before getting himself to 5th. He had a similar start in race 2. And all of a sudden, he's knocking on the door for 7th place. Because we've got Panzer in 7th, Rubini 8th, Beneston in 9th. Take another look at the start, shall we? Let's try and figure things out from there. Here's what happened at the start of the race. Tom Vial over on the right, Jago Geerts. Beneston getting squeezed behind Kevin Horgmo. And then watch this, Talviku high-sided, somehow stayed up. That's Gifting Spike being dragged down the track. Then we saw the pass for the lead. This was Everts getting passed by Jago Geerts. And then Geerts fell from the lead. Watch this, front end just folds through the berm. Or it might have just caught the wall, actually. Either way, he tipped down, handed the lead to Tom Vial. And another 3 championship points. The frustration on the face down there in pit lane for all to see. Jan Panzer in 7th position. The number 253 for Tem JP 253 on the KTM. He's got Rubini behind him. And Beneston up on the pegs. Look how deep those ruts are. Everts still under attack from Harup. This is for 4th place. The Diga Procross KTM versus the Big Band World MTX Kawasaki. 13 laps complete for Vial and Geerts. And with 4.5 minutes to go, Vial in control. Meanwhile, Everts charging down the start straight, can still see Langenfelder, who's being urged on by the DeCarli clan and everybody down there in Red Bull Gas Factory Racing. Frustrating ride for Mikkel Harup, still not able to find his way past Liam Everts. 4 minutes to go, plus 2 laps. Thibaut Beneston has found his way past Rubini. He's now been at 8th place. And Perez has been reinstated, so he was in the race. He's up to 10th. Watch this here. A lap ago he tried, didn't succeed. This time he did. Beneston now up into 8th place. So Guillaume Perez, he was riding like he was not a lap down, but obviously it was a transponder issue. So he's there in 10th place. No wonder he didn't want to move out of the way. And no wonder there were no blue flags for him either. So Panzer 7, Beneston 8, Rabuni 9, Perez 10. Harup again, just a slight stall momentarily. And then a heavy landing on the triple, which he only doubled, as all of the MX2 riders have been doing today. It's pretty far, even when it's perfect conditions. But Tom Vial, the Frenchman, in a class of his own again today then. Looking at a 1-1 for just the second time this season. The last time that happened was Trentino. He's now almost 12 seconds clear of his nearest rival and championship rival, Jago Geerts, just here. He wants to finish the Yamaha rider. Down past pit lane. We'll need to regroup, because in a week's time, there's going to be a lot of support for Tom Vial at Ernay. Jago Geerts. 14 laps complete now for the Yamaha rider, but 11.8 seconds down on Tom Vial, who is there in the opposite corner. That's what about 12 seconds looks like between first and second. In one of those races, or one of those weekends really, hasn't it, for Jago Geerts. Arrived here with the championship leaders red plate by 6 points. He led race 1, fell on lap 2, pulled himself back to 9th, but it was Tom Vial who capitalized on that, went into the second race with a 7-point buffer. Geerts led again at the start of the race and fell again in a similar part of the racetrack, the next corner to where he fell in race 1. 25 points went begging. Tom Vial right there behind him to pick them up as well. So the gap now, as it stands, 10 points between Vial and Jago Geerts. Another good day in the office for the Red Bull KTM rider, Tom Vial. Andrea Bonacorsi, the Hudson Mattal Yamaha rider, in 20th place, wildcarding as an EMX 250 rider regularly. Just moves out of the way so Vial can go through, but the Italian will just try to see this race out. 3 laps to go here in Spain. Guillaume Perez still circulating in 10th place. If you're just joining us, Guillaume Perez, well, again, that little rut there at the back end of the waves, just catching the rear wheel of the KTM. But Guillaume Perez was in a battle with Jan Panzer, Thibaut Beneston and Stefan Rubini a couple of laps ago. Our timing screen said that he was a lap, well, not a lap down, but down in 21st place, about to be lapped, but things have been rectified since then. It didn't look like he wanted to get out of the way, and he was right not to as well, because he is actually circulating in 10th position, the Ras Motorsport KTM rider. All of a sudden, the battle for 4th place just starting to intensify. Back marker closest to us on the Yamaha. Everts, though, under attack from Harrop, who tries to go the long way round. Evans gets his elbows out, parks his KTM in the same rut as the Dane, who then cuts back to the inside. Evans will hear the Kawasaki down there, but he'll just pop the double here up into turn 6. So there's no way for Harrop to cut back on that part of the racetrack. Can he hold on to this 4th place? There were a lot of people said that whilst it was a good result, 4th in race 1 in Maggiora 3 rounds ago, weather conditions may have played their part because the track was very one line, but this one here is definitely, I mean, both on merit anyway, but this one even more so because he's withstood the pressure from Mikkel Harrop, and for a long time, Simon Langenfelder, as Tom Vial takes the 2-lap board. We're waiting for here, so 15 seconds now the gap. So that race for the checkered flag, done and dusted a few laps ago. Almost as soon as Jago Kiert picked his bike up when he was 8 seconds adrift of the new race leader at that point. There's that little step on, step off, just into the reverse first turn. So here's Bonacorsi. Just trying to pick up that 1 championship point for Hutton Mattal Yamaha. Former 125 European champion a couple of years ago. Was at the MX250 last year and this year, but given the option to ride a few wild cards along with his teammate, number 44, Rick Elzinger. Elzinger choosing not to go out in this race, or if he did, he didn't make it past the start. But he was fading backwards in the first race quite rapidly. Oh, how did Harrop stay up there? He got on the gas, the front end started pouring its way out of that right-hand turn, almost got away from him. Somehow he managed to hold on to it though. He knows Evans is jumping here, so there's no way through apart from if he can go down the inside. That's exactly what he does. He switches it back to the inside, but still can't find a way through. Just over a lap to go. Big race this actually for Liam Evans. The 1-lap board goes out to Tom Vial. Once he took over the lead in both races, managed to control the situation. Race 1, he was a winner by 14.2 seconds. 14.5 now as he heads into the final lap of race 2. But he's going to go from 6 points down to 10 points clear and move to the top of the standings. His home race is next. Things are looking good for Vial. Harrop, though, trying everything, desperately trying hard to find his way past Evans. He's been very, very stubborn. He's held a good line. He's kept his head down, withstood the pressure, and absorbed everything that's been thrown at him. Harrop just hanging off the side of the bike, gives another couple of tenths to Evans, as if he needs them. Here's Langenfelder. He's in 3rd place. And it's going to be good enough for 2nd overall for the German. Vial will win the overall Grand Prix with 2 wins, look, 25 points apiece. Langenfelder will be 2nd with a 2nd and a 3rd. Kiert a 9th and a 2nd. But if you look at the if, buts and maybes and shoulda, woulda, couldas, had Kiert won race 1, had he not fallen in both races and picked up both wins, he would have doubled his lead from 6 to 12. As it is right now, he's gone from 6 ahead to 10 adrift. Going to be a tough week for him. Get this one out of the way mentally. Switch off, regroup, turn himself back on again for France. But Tom Vial goes 1-1 here in Spain. He's the new championship leader as well. So for the second time this year, as Jago Kietz crosses the line, for the second time this year, Tom Vial picks up maximum points to win the Grand Prix. Kietz second, Langenfelder third in the race. Everts did hang on for fourth, Harrop fifth. Just gave up in the end, realised there were probably no more passing opportunities, but Tom Vial wins the MXGP of Spain. So Harrop fifth, Adamo sixth. Beniston found his way past Panzer on the final lap, despite Panzer putting in the fastest sector one of the race. Rubini 9, Perez 10. Right, Lisa Leyland is down, talking to Tom Vial, our Grand Prix winner of Spain.
Tom Vial, 5th GP overall for you and the championship lead. It's been a very successful weekend.
Yeah, I think it's the first half of my career I won everything, like quali race and the tomorrow. So it was a nice day, 2 good start, and just control the race both time. I felt really good on the bike. Bike is amazing, so thanks to the team, KTM. And no, see you next weekend in France. It's going to be a nice GP.
Great job. Thanks, Tom.
For the 5th time this season, Tom Vial will stand on the top step of the podium. He's been on the podium for the last 7 rounds now as well. Argentina, Portugal, Trentino, Latvia, Italy, Sardinia, and now here in Spain. He also leaves Spain with a 10-point advantage. He'll leave with the championship leaders red plate as well. Tom Vial wins the MXGP of Spain in the MX2 class here today. Official confirmation then, MXGP Race 2 looks like this. Tom Vial with a comfortable win in Race 2 from Jago Kietz, Simon Langenfelder, and a fantastic ride for Liam Everts. Mikkel Harrop 5th, Adamo 6th. Thibaut Beniston gets to 7th on the final lap ahead of Jan Panzer. Then Rubini and Perez ran out the top 10. Tom Guyon 11, Kai Karsmakers 12, Kevin Horgmo and Isaac Gifting. Gifting finding his way past Talviku on the final lap to move to 14th. And then we've got Peter Pollock, Kevin Brumman, David Braceras, Mike Guerra, and Andrea Bonacorsi. The overall classification, though, belongs to Tom Vial for the 5th time this year. Langenfelder joins him on the podium for the first time since he was victorious at Matchley Basin, round 1. And Kietz rounding out the podium in 3rd. Everts 4th, Rubini 5th. Championship now looks like this. Tom Vial arrives 6 points down. He leaves 10 points clear of Jago Kietz. Langenfelder, no change for him in 3rd. All Harrop and Horgmo. But Adamo moves up a position to 6th at the expense of the still injured Kai de Wolf. Isaac Gifting maintains his 8th place ahead of Rubini. And Thibaut Beniston, who now climbs into the top 10. And in the Manufacturers' Championship, KTM, not much in it between KTM and Yamaha. Look, this one is going to go all the way down to the wire, isn't it, between the riders and the teams, or the manufacturers. Cooler conditions finally here in Spain. Take a look at the foxhole shot before we go anywhere, though, shall we? Race 1 was Rick Elzinger. He didn't line up in race 2. Instead, Liam Everts with his first black plate, and he turned it into a 4th place finish as well. The Diga Procross KTM rider on the board then in the foxhole shot category. Tom Vial on 5, Langenfelder 2, Beniston. Sorry, Tom Vial 5, Langenfelder 4, Beniston has 2. So too do quite a few other riders, but Everts on the board for the first time. Get ready for the podium then here. Round 9, the MXGP of Spain at Into Xanadu, Arroyo Molinos. Bittersweet for Jago Kietz, Monster Energy Yamaha Factory MX2 on the podium. Could have been so much worse after that big crash in race 1 when he led both races actually as well, but has to be content with 3rd overall. Simon Langenfelder, Red Bull Gas Factory Racing on the podium for the first time since round 1, Matterley Basin, where he stood on the top step after going 1-1. Tom Vial, though, Red Bull KTM Factory Racing. 5 wins this year now for the Frenchman. The perfect way to set himself up for his home Grand Prix in a week's time. And Dirk Grubel from Red Bull KTM Factory Racing on the podium as well to take the team trophy, manufacturer's trophy if you like. But trophies being dished out. Alberto Tome, Deputy Councillor, Sports Comunidad de Madrid, handing the 3rd place trophy to Jago Kietz. Jago Kietz with his 35th podium. Manuel Casado, the RFME president, handing the 2nd place trophy to Simon Langenfelder. And the winner's trophy delivered by Ignacio Veneda, the FIM deputy president, to Tom Vial. 39 podiums now for Tom Vial, 19 as a winner. Manuel Rodriguez, the FMM president, will hand the team trophy to Dirk Grubel. Got a 1-1 for Tom Vial. And there's more to come for the Frenchman, because he will now take the championship leader's red plate, delivered by Antonio Elia Portela, the FIM CMS director. And Tom Vial will take the red plate back home to Ernée in 1 week's time. There's your top 3. Tom Vial, Simon Langenfelder and Jago Kietz. Tom Vial becomes the 25th winner for KTM in a Spanish Grand Prix today here into Xanadu Arroyo Molinos, and the 18th victory for a French rider since we came here first in 102 editions, 1962 the first time. We'll tilt to Tom Vial, Simon Langenfelder and Jago Kietz in a few moments, but before we do, let's check out the highlights from the race, shall we? MX2 race 2. Liam Everts with the foxhole shot. It looked like it was going to be Jürgen Matthias Talviku. He spun up on the exit. He had a high side. Gifting went down, but it was Everts edging out Jago Kietz, Tom Vial. Vial tried to make a move in the next corner, but he was denied. Meanwhile, Jago Kietz did find his way past Liam Everts to take over the lead. Mikkel Harup got the better of Jürgen Matthias Talviku to move into 5th place. And that's where he would stay. Then Everts got caught. Vial moved into 2nd with that pass on the Belgian. Then Jago Kietz fell from the lead here. That allowed Vial a move around the outside to take over the lead. Kietz picked himself up after falling. He managed to maintain that 2nd place, but behind him, Simon Langenfelder eased by Liam Everts. Eventually, that was Kevin Horgmo. Horgmo eventually coming home in 13th place. Further down the field, Thibaut Beneston muscled his way past Stefan Rubini to take over 8th. He found his way past Jan Panzer on the final lap to take 7th as well. But despite all his efforts, the number 11, Mikkel Hart, could not find his way past the 72 of Liam Everts. Liam Everts came home 4th, Hart was 5th, but it was Vial who went on to win his 35th race win, his 8th of the season, and he won the Grand Prix.
Tom Vial, great job. Comfortable win in race 1 with 25 points. Race 2, you applied the pressure to Hertz, you got the job done, and you were right where you needed to be when he made his mistake. Another comfortable win, you were just in a league of your own today.
Yeah, it was a great weekend for me, for the whole team. We had a good qualification race yesterday, and today was just perfect. 2 good starts and control both models. I felt really great on the bike, so I'm happy we improved a lot with the new KTM, and it's working fantastic. So I'm really happy with that, and yeah, I want to focus now. Next weekend is GP of France, so for me it's quite an important GP. So let's see there what we can do.
Great job, thank you, Tom. Second overall today we have Simon Langenfelder. Simon, a second and a third to get your first podium since Matterley. Well overdue, but definitely deserved. You put 2 fantastic motos together. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I had 2 good starts in the first motor. I messed up a few of the first corners, and then yeah, I was 7th, but yeah, the track was overwatered a lot, and many riders crashed, and some I overtook, and found my way to 2nd, where I also finished, which is really good. Then in the second moto, yeah, I had another good start. Was on 4th, I think. Then I passed Liam, and yeah, just rode till the end. And I'm really happy to be on the podium again and go back home with 1 trophy.
Fantastic job, thank you. Third overall, we have Jago Hertz. Jago, 2 tough and frustrating races, despite some fantastic racing. It was just playing catch-up all day, and I guess damage limitation.
Yeah, for sure. After that crash in the first heat, I was really banged up for the second heat, and also I lost my confidence a little bit with the track. But still, I didn't expect to be on the podium, so still a pretty good race. Did some damage control, and looking forward to the next races.
Thanks, Jago.
The disappointment there from Jago Hertz. Didn't expect to be on the podium, so like I say, bittersweet for the Belgian, whose result here today gives him his 35th career podium. 3rd overall for the Monster Energy Yamaha rider. 2nd overall, Simon Langenfelder, Red Bull Gas Factory Racing. Hasn't been on the podium since round 1, where he took a double race win. Been up and down the leaderboard like a yo-yo since then, but a solid performance from the German today. The Red Bull Gas rider will be looking forward to going to the Monster Energy MXGP of France in a week's time, as will Tom Vial, who heads there to his home Grand Prix at Ernay with the championship leader's red plate. Today in Spain, he overturned a 6-point deficit. He heads back home to France with a 10-point margin over Jago Hertz. It's game on in MX2, and this was the MXGP of Spain. Tom Vial victorious here once again. We will be back in a couple of moments' time. Rejoin us for MXGP Race 2. We'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Del circuito, los componentes de la última carrera. Esta última prueba de MXGP. Ya tenemos a los pilotos en pista por esa tribuna Holshot. Prado que parece que sale con ganas.